Welcome to EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. This podcast is about all things production for the people in front of the camera or behind the camera. Let's join Reggie right now for the discussion.
Welcome back to another episode of EMERJ TV. Talking with an old friend of mine. Well, not an old friend, a friend of mine.
Old is right. I'm old.
Director. He was over the crew chief. We met back in the 80s, 83.
Yeah.
He's directed he's directed baseball for high school. High school. We've done some college stuff, but then former Tigers director. Did it for a while. Jim Holly. Like to say welcome to the
pleasure to be here.
show. I appreciate you coming and have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Get right to it. I want to tell you how much experience I had when I first worked with you.
Okay.
Matter of fact, it was in 82.
82. Okay.
82.
Yeah.
I got a job doing audio because I knew how to watch my VU meter.
Right. That's important.
No other experience, no mixing experience, no knowing how to run an audio board experience, nothing. I knew how to watch my VU meters. Mm-hmm. And I got my first job doing live TV because I knew how to not let stuff distort. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So my approach was, I'll pretend I'm at home. I'll mix like what I want to hear at home. Mm-hmm. So fast forward to TV3. We were working with some people. Dave and I were working with some people. They were doing some editing jobs. I don't know if it was for a college or whatever.
Yep.
I remember we came up to you and said, well, how can we come here? And you would say, well, you have to volunteer and stuff like that. And we said, okay, well, maybe we'll come back, And so one day we were in the edit suite. And you came in and you said, who wants to do a job tomorrow? Me and Dave raised our hands.
Yep. It was like, who wants to be in the full-time football crew? I remember that because we're going to have a big football crew, and we're really pushing the limits of the truck and doing everything that we could to max out the equipment on the truck. Mm-hmm. And I just wanted to have the same people for the entire season of football because I figured, don't want to, it's going to be so complex. I don't want to be training everybody throughout the course of the season. So I was like, I wanted a full-time football crew. So stuck my head in the edit room. Okay, who wants to be in the football crew full-time? And you and Dave. Oh, I said, good, that's two. I got two guys. And you guys were great.
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that we worked on with you, it was a studio shoot. And you said something that I had never heard before. Uh-oh. You said we were doing a promo, we were doing a show, and you said, stand by to fade sound and picture out. And I went, what? And wait a minute. And I said, okay, so this is how, when you're watching a TV show, the audio and the video just goes out together. And when you're watching at home, you think it's all together.
Right.
So I sat and watched you. And as you faded to black, I brought it down. That was the first time in life
really
I had ever heard that.
But you were a great audio guy, though. You're one of our, you and John Velty were our primary audio guys.
Let me tell you what I did. I kept my mouth shut. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. I remember Bob Daniels.
Right.
Y'all were in the truck, and y'all started talking about, well, we need an audio pad. And I'm on the audio board, and I'm going, pad? I'm like, a pillow? I'm talking about a pad. But the thing about it was I was smart enough to keep my mouth shut. So y'all thought I knew what y'all was talking about.
I thought he knew what he was doing, and he did know what he was doing.
I didn't have all the experience I got. It was 3 months at the first place that I got the job, and then Dave and I got fired.
Fired?
Yep.
You and Dave got fired?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
No way.
Yeah, well, this guy, he was kind of shady. Whatever. Anyway. But then when I really started learning was at TV3.
Yeah.
And I knew camera. I dove into it. So I learned really fast. But all of the audio, like mixing audio for a basketball game,
right?
I had never done it. And y'all was like, we're going to put a mic under the basket. And I said, well, that makes sense. You can hear the basket.
Right.
And so I remember one time, I'm trying to think. I think it was you and Ben Weber. It was bring the basket mics up, bring the basket mics down, bring the basket mics up. And I said, if y'all let me do this.
Yeah. I'll figure it out.
But the thing about it is you guys gave me an opportunity that changed my life.
Good.
Because I had always wanted to do production. I didn't know how I could get into it. I was 25 years old when I got the job, my first job. And I thought, man, all these people, they're like 20 and 19 and just going out of school. And I thought I was an old man, 25 years old. But I got an opportunity to learn camera and do basketball and football and baseball. And I did get stuck on audio because y'all let me do an audio. But still, I learned. And I had to just keep my mouth shut.
Well, we were all learning.
And
I came out of college and I was looking for a job. I went all over the state of Michigan looking for a job, and there was no job. Finally, I got an offer from WKZO TV in Kalamazoo, and they said, okay, we would like to hire you, and we want you to start out doing children's programming and then go into news. And I thought, something just didn't feel right about that. My gut just told me, no, don't do that. So I listened to my gut and I said, no, thank you, but no, I'll pass. And then I spent a year and a half after that or so, maybe a year, working at Hudson's, and because I couldn't get a job in TV. Yeah. And then Wayne Cablevision popped up. I don't know how they got my application. I can't remember, but I remember getting interviewed by Ed Zimba.
Really?
And he hired me, and we were all just, okay, we're going to do a baseball game. Well, how do we do that? Okay, well, I've seen it on TV this way. Let's try that.
Yeah.
And we were just trying everything, and everybody was learning and growing at the same time. It was great. It was a great experience for me all the way around.
Yeah. Well, Ken was on, and he was telling me how him, you, and Bob Lewandowski would sit at home and dissect the baseball games and watch, and that was how you came up with the way you did it. What was interesting for me was I was third base camera, and I thought it was interesting how you had so much going on. You had the center field camera, you had pitcher batter catcher, you had the pull across, you had the guy that's on the bleacher, shooting the and I thought, how are they keeping all this together? And I thought, man, and at the time I was more interested in camera, but I paid attention to what commands you were giving. Like even in basketball, it was you, Terry, and who else was direct? Anyway, but what I figured out,
Steve Hess, probably.
Yeah, Steve Hess. And what Dave and I would talk about is we have to learn what each one of them like.
Everybody's a little different, aren't they?
Because if it was a free throw, we could sometimes tilt up and follow the basket, the ball in the other people like Ed, not Ed,
Steve,
but Steve didn't. He would cut to the other camera,
right?
And so we learned what each one of you liked.
Yep.
So that if I was on your crew, he's like, okay, well, I like Rich.
Right.
Rich, he knows what he's doing,
right? And
then if Steve or Terry, whoever, I was talking to a person on an earlier interview. I did. Figure skating, with Terry.
Right. Yeah, she was.
My goodness,
she was a figure skater, and she loved that.
After I did it, I said I'll never do figure skating.
Really? Why?
Because it was zoom, pan, focus, all at the same time.
Oh yeah, they're moving all over.
And she's like, focus, okay, zoom in, zoom out. And I was like, oh no. And after that, I said I'll never do another one. She was a good director.
Yeah.
But I had never seen it. Matter of fact, when you watch something, it looks really easy.
Yeah.
But as you know, what I tell people is television, video and film production is not representative of the difficulty that goes into it.
Yes.
We make it look really easy, like anybody can do it. Anybody can show up with the iPhone.
Yeah.
And then they have the mics and lighting, and there's, it's different things. But here's what I want to ask you. Excuse me. What made you want to get into?
Oh man,
production.
When I was in high school, I'm a huge Detroit Tiger baseball fan. Like I'm sure a lot of people are, and I'd watch all the games. And I remember George Kell talking about down in the truck, our director, Chuck Wosley, down in the truck. Then I'm thinking, so there's a truck and he's cutting all the cameras and doing all, and he gets to be at every Tiger game. This is great. I want to do that. And so I went to college and got into TV, and I always kept in my mind, I want to direct Tiger baseball. And then I wanted to make sure that everything I took pointed me toward that goal. I wanted to direct Tiger baseball. And eventually I was able to do that, and it was like a dream come true. It was outstanding. I got to meet Chuck Wosley. Like I said, when I was at TV3, there was a guy who worked at Channel 4, and he did the Downriver News Service, Joey Hudson.
Yeah.
And I said, Joey, you work at TV3, WDIV, right? And he said, yeah. He said, you got to get me in the Tiger truck. You got to get me in there. I have to sit next to Chuck Wosley and watch him do a game.
Yeah.
I said, okay, I'd do that. And so he did. He got me into the Tiger truck, and it was like, my God, I'm walking into paradise here. This is awesome. There's a little dinky truck at the time, and all these guys were crammed in there, and there was Chuck Wosley, and he sat me down next to him, and we went through. He just did his show, and I got to watch him do all his. He only had 4 cameras and 2 tape machines for Tiger baseball.
Yeah,
and it was like, this is great. I love this. And my wife Terry was with me, and she got to sit down and watch him do some a couple innings or so, and that was a great experience. And then from there on, it's like, yeah, that's what I want to do.
Yeah. So now, in your career, and I've asked this about everybody that comes on, about experiences, and I know you've dealt with freelancers and professional. What was there a shoot or event that happened that actually I can think of one thing that you did, but I'll wait and see what you say. What was an event that, things just went bad, you was trying to pull it out, and like I say, it's quicksand,
Oh man, those you try to forget. There's probably more of those than you realize. I remember one time I was doing a baseball game for the Tigers in Baltimore, and my crew was working with me, and we were trying to do pre-production, and everything was going wrong. Nothing was going right. So it was basically like, okay, all right, this isn't working. Let's try to do this. Okay, that's not working. Let's see what else we can work on and try to get to the point where we can put a show on the air. And about 45 minutes before airtime, everything came together and started working.
Really?
And so just like, be cool, don't blow up, maintain an even strain, as they say,
right.
and hopefully things will come together. And they did. They came together, and we got a good show on there. But most of the ones that I don't think we really had anything blow up horribly, because it was like if something went wrong, you just kept going. The show will not wait for you. You just keep going. And if there's a mistake, move on. Because if you think about it, you'll make another mistake. And if you think about it, make another mistake. So let it go and move on and do the best you can for the rest of the show.
Well, I remember this is at TV3, and I don't know if it was a telethon, but it was something.
Oh, those were fun.
And,
I liked that.
And
I forgot about those.
This one production was going on, and I laughed at you so hard because you were like, rake the switch.
Oh, I remember that.
Rake the switch.
I exactly remember that. I think it was a bodybuilding show, to be honest with you. And so they were doing every time the bodybuilders came out and did their went through their exhibition to show off their abilities. They had a spotlight on them. That was great. But then as soon as that guy was done, they turned all the lights off in the whole building. And the announcer would be, the next guy coming up is going to be so. I can't see. There's nothing to shoot. I can't see anything. And so.
And you go rake the switch.
Because I knew, what the heck, I'm going to have to post it anyway.
Because you're like, massive editing job.
Massive editing job. So I remember this, after the first time they went through a section, took a break. I said, can you guys just turn a light on the announcer when he's introducing the next? Yeah, we can do that. And that made life so much easier.
But it was those were fun shoots, and I was talking to Ken about the crews that we had. Everybody. That's when I got my first sense of a crew actually working together and everybody pulling together to get an end. The one end, which was the production. Right. And we used to do the basketball games and Mike, and we'd get there hours ahead of time. Yep. And I started running handheld for basketball, and what I noticed was, if I don't eat, I'm really shaky. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh man, I hope we have crew meal. And they say, okay, we're gonna get crew meal. And I would have the camera, and it would be like really shaky. And then after I ate, I put the camera on. I was like, well, how is that? And so I always counted on us having crew meal, right? So that you always say, oh, we can't put him on camera. It's like he's standing on a wave.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Man, shoot. Because, okay, I was always on audio. And I would say, I want to run camera. And I understand why you put me on audio.
Right.
But when I got the opportunity to run camera, I was like, okay, now I can't blow this.
You didn't blow it.
Because I'm going to be back on audio again. Yeah. But you guys, I learned a lot of when I started multi-camera directing, I would hear you taking reaction shots.
Yes.
And I would hear different ones, because that was my school. I didn't go to school.
Right.
So my school was, I had the job. Mm-hmm. Or, now what was cool was, okay, you told us, no, not you. I think we talked to either Ken or John, John Velty.
Right.
And I said, well, what does it take to become a freelancer? And they said, well, first you have to volunteer for a year.
Right.
Then you become a freelancer. And as things come up, positions come up, and then you become a freelancer.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'll do it. And we had been there, I think, 3 months. Mm-hmm. And you came to me and David said, well, we want you guys to keep coming, so we're going to make you freelance. And I was like, oh, man, cool. Now, the funny thing was, we only got paid, if we worked 2 weeks, we got paid one day this week and one day that week, but I enjoyed doing it.
Yeah.
But I remember John Velcher especially, he wasn't thrilled that there were 2 more people added to the freelance pool. But it was cool. It was cool, man. I'm going to tell you, I learned a lot. And I studied and listened, and we had fun. I had so much fun, and what was cool about it, and Ken and I talked about this, we would do a football game in the wintertime.
Right.
We have to figure eight these cables. Right. Don't want to figure eight.
Right.
Load up the Gerstenslager, we call it the Gersti.
The Gersti.
And then everybody said, okay, let's go to the restaurant, and everybody go hang out. So, and that was cool because we were a crew. We enjoyed being a crew together, but then we hung out.
Yeah, we hung out. It was great. What a great bunch of people it was. I loved that time. I was only there 3 years, but I remember it all very fondly.
Yeah.
But you were talking about crew meals, and I remember one time that I got really in a bad situation because of a late crew meal. It was at the 13-year-old Little League World Series that we were doing, which was awesome. It was the first year of the 13-year-old Little League World Series in Taylor. It was fun. That was great. And so we set up, and then there was, 10 minutes before we were going to go on the air with the first game, and the pizzas showed up. And so I wolfed down about half a pizza and chugged like a 20-ounce Coke and then sat down to do the game. Well, about the third inning, it all caught up with me. And so I had to run out of the truck. And I remember John Weir, who was our engineer, and I said, John, I think he was technical directing at that time on that show. And I said, John, you got to take over. And I left the truck, and he said, okay, everybody, it's going to be 2-camera baseball for a little while. And so I heard as much as I could, but I learned a lesson there. Eat early or don't eat.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, as far as how we were treated, it was a really good experience. We did all kinds of things. We did plays, we did telethons, we did
studio shows, musicals too, concerts.
Yeah, and I became a really well-rounded camera operator because I had done so many different things.
Yeah.
So then when Dave and I, we started our company, we could go and we could do in it. We would hire camera operators who they said, well, I can do this, I can do that, and we're having to do a shot, and they couldn't do the shot. And so I did it. Dave did it once too. And I said, okay, hang on a second. And I'm directing. I said, okay, let me get the shot. So I do the shot, and I said, okay, all right, now here you do the rest of them. Mm-hmm. And they would apologize, but I thought if you were a camera operator, you knew how to do camera for everything.
Yeah.
Sports.
Yeah.
Or studio shows and that kind of thing. And what I learned was sports shooters aren't necessarily good music video.
True.
Or what, and so, but what we learned at TV3 and from you guys, because in my opinion, there wasn't anything you couldn't do. Everything to me was new. Excuse me. So every time there was a new production, I just set up the cameras and do this and you sounded like you knew. And I thought,
well, we were, like I said, we were all learning too. I mean, I came from a sports background because I watched sports all the time. I kind of had a pretty good idea watching TV and the Tigers, the Pistons, Red Wings, so forth, how those went. Concerts, I really didn't have any idea. So I would sit back and watch Steve Hess do them because Steve knew what he was doing when he came to shooting a musical concert.
Right.
And I'd sit back and go, oh, he's doing that effect. That's really cool. Oh, that's when you go to that camera. That's okay. And I was in the same boat as you were, trying to learn on the fly.
Yeah.
And you just watch, like I said, and you keep your mouth shut. And you just learn, and then you try to do the best you can, and hopefully everybody will say, "Yeah, that turned out okay."
Yeah, or at least there's a saying that says, "Better to appear the fool and stay silent than to open your mouth and remove all doubt."
Exactly. Don't need to prove to anybody that you're a fool. So let them figure it out.
But from my perspective, I was pretty much sitting there. Now it was cool being in the truck, because I saw how the truck worked and watching over your shoulder and that kind of thing, it's like, okay, he's doing this. So, and I had questions, but in Days of Thunder, Tom Cruise said he didn't have the vocabulary.
Right.
And so that was my problem. I didn't have the vocabulary to ask the question, okay, like, what are you doing there? Or like, when I remember y'all talked about DVE. Wish we had a DVE in the truck.
Yeah.
Like, what's a DVE?
Yeah.
I thought, I'm not going to ask because then they're going to think I don't know anything.
Well, that happened to me when I was doing the Tigers. Because the tape guys, our tape guys would, a lot of them would work for the networks. And they would have, and the networks would have more equipment than we would, and they would have like the EVS machines, and they called it Elvis. And they'd say, it's good on Elvis. And I'm thinking, there's no Elvis back there. I was like, who's Elvis? Did we hire somebody? No, we didn't hire anybody new. What is Elvis? I have no idea. And so I just played it dumb and didn't say anything. And finally, I read something or figured it out that, it's an EVS. And then they showed, I saw it in action, and this is an incredible piece of equipment that we don't have, that hopefully we will in the future.
Yeah. Now, how was it? So the first Tiger game that you did.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. How was it leading up to it? What you thought? And
man, I was. It was at home. Against the Texas Rangers with the guy who had done the Tigers before was Mike Smith, and he was still doing them, and I got put into the rotation and put into the mix. And the guy, he says, okay, you're going to be doing the Tigers on this one, and the Texas people are going to be taking a split from you. So basically they were going to, what that means is their director would sit on the back bench behind me, and he would take everything that I would give him, all the shots and everything that I would give him, and he would add his announcers to it. And if he wanted a different shot because his announcers were talking about something else, he would ask me for it, and I would give it to him, and so forth. And he was Dave Burchett, and he was a fantastic director from Texas. And so was I nervous? Yeah, I was nervous. But once I got down and settled into it, I go, this is great, man. I love this. Because I had done a ton of baseball at TV3, and it all just started to go. It's just baseball's baseball, and it just fell into the groove, and I just loved it. I wasn't as nervous as I thought I would be. It was great.
So then the style. So then the baseball that we were doing at TV3 was basically professional baseball.
Yeah, it was 4 cameras,
except it was high school.
Right. I remember for the TV3, we did 4 camera baseball, 2 tapes. And I remember for the 13-year-old Little League World Series, we added a camera behind home plate. So we had 5 cameras. When we got to the Tigers, it was 4 cameras and 2 tapes, and that was it. So I was like, yeah, I can do this. I've done it. I've done it for years. I can do this.
See, I did a concert at Cobo. It was called Cobo at the time. 8 camera job, 8 camera shoot. This truck was 30 days old out of Trio Video out of Chicago.
Out of Chicago.
It was 30 days old.
Wow. You're breaking it in.
And they rolled the truck in, and I saw it backing in, and then they extended the size, and I was like,
oh, yeah, Expando.
What? So I positioned all the cameras in Cobo and had all, and I sat in the middle, and I thought, man, if I ruin this, all of this is for nothing. And so Cato from Channel 56, it was between he and I who was going to direct. And he couldn't get there early enough, so it was me. And he directed screens. So he's sitting behind me. So now I have Cato, who everybody's heard of.
Right.
And he's watching me direct. And I thought, oh, man. And so I had done a lot of directing at the church that I was going to. It was 5 cameras, so I'd done a lot of music and stuff. And I thought, okay, I just have to do this the way I normally direct music.
Right.
And I had to, and then I had a producer, turned out he was in prison. And he was in jail on the intercom.
Really?
So he's listening to me too. And at first I was excited. He's like, Reggie, calm down. Just calm down. And I said, okay, I settled down. And I was directing, and I was calling shots, and I forgot Cato was behind me, calling shots, and I'm hearing somebody echoing my commands. I'm going, who is that? And I'm thinking, somebody's making fun of me. You know? And then I realized what he was doing. I went, and he was silent. I went, nope, that's okay. But the cool thing about the end of that was now I settled in. I had to basically do what I knew how to do, which was what you did. Right. And at the end of the shoot, the EIC said, this is one of the best productions it's had. And I was like, man, I'm glad you think so.
That's great.
But, I owe a lot of it. Now, there's you, Terry, Steve, Ben Weber, Ken Schramm, all you guys that I drew from, but then there's some other ones. But before I get to that, we're at the end of this episode.
Okay.
So what I'd like to say is, first of all, thank you all for watching. Come back and see part 2 of this in my conversation with Jim Holly here. But if you're interested in having a conversation with us, you can reach out to me on my Facebook page at EMERJ TV. That's EMERJ space TV. It'll take you to my page. If you want to watch it, if somebody wants to watch it, they don't have Facebook, you can go type in emerj.tv on any browser. It'll take them to my page, or you can reach out to me at emerj.tv@gmail.com. Hopefully I'll be hearing from you soon. Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching EMERJ TV with Reggie Smith. Join us next time for more discussions on all things production. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.